He's fine, yeah.
All right, welcome to the 35th edition of Before the Battle. I am Nick Baldwin, and joining me as always is the host of Half the Battle and the man behind BestFightPicks.com, Daniel Levi, back on the show as always. Daniel, how the heck are you?
Doing amazing. Good to be on the show with all you fellas, and man, we got a hell of a main event and a hell of a card at UFC Ottawa, so I'm pumped to talk with you guys, man.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, I have my video playing. Paolo, go Paolo, ready for Sportsnet. Joining us as always, Paolo. How's it going?
How's it going, guys? Really happy to be back, and gotta say what's up to Trevor, who's joining us for the first time. What's up, man? Good to meet you.
Okay, what's up, man? I'm happy to be here. How you doing, dude? Nice to meet you. What's up, everybody?
Yes, absolutely. So if anyone doesn't know Trevor, he is the host of the Smoking Jays Hip Hop Podcast. He's a big MMA fan. He bets on MMA. Actually, you have a relationship with Team Alpha Male. You know all the fighters. You hang out with them all the time. Explain your relationship quickly with Team Alpha Male fighters.
Is like fucking family to me, basically. Andre Fili's family to me. So, I mean, he's my really good friend, and I have basically pretty much everybody on the team is like a really good friend of mine through him, you know, through the past 5 or 6 years of him being on the team. That's like the really quick summary of it.
Gotcha.
Hey, Trevor, your boy Andre Fili's the man. He made my day 2 weeks ago. So I was in LA visiting my brother, and I had my mom with me, so I had to go to the weigh-ins with. So I was like, Mom, you want to come see what I love? And Andre Fili took a picture with my mom and was super cool. So yeah, dude, I like that guy a lot.
He was hella cool, man. He had fucking hella people asking for pictures and stuff. Dude, I was really impressed, man. He had hella fans around him. Dude, it was really cool to see. There were a lot of people asking for pictures. Yeah, that was cool.
And he's a very exciting fighter, win or lose. So yeah, he'll have a long career in the UFC.
Absolutely. Yeah, so anyway, Trevor, it's great to have you here. For anyone wondering where Mike Biggie Rose is, he's doing like something like 5 training sessions today. He's exhausted because he's preparing to knock some guy out tomorrow or next week.
Oh shit!
On UFC Fight Pass, Victory Fighting Championship live on UFC Fight Pass. So he's training for that. He won't be here next week either, but afterwards, after he gets that win, he will be joining us once again. So let's start with UFC Fight Night 89, taking place from Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, on Saturday night. Top to bottom, it's a solid card. We'll start out on the Fight Pass prelims. We got Ali Bagotinov taking on John Herrera. Trevor, I'll start with you. Who do you like in this flyweight matchup?
Ali, but I think there is a really good chance for an actual upset here with Gino Herrera. That guy looked really impressive in his last 2 UFC fights so far, and I think it's going to be interesting. But I'm going to actually play it safe, so I'm going to go with Ali still.
Daniel, do you agree with Trevor here? Are you going with Ali Bagotinov, the favorite, or do you think Herrera, the underdog, can pull off the upset?
It's a tough one, man, because, I mean, Ali Bagotinov is a seasoned vet. He's a Sambo world champion. He's been in there 5 rounds with Demetrius Johnson. In my opinion, he gave Demetrius the toughest fight of his current title run. And with Gene Herrera, I mean, the dude's been thrown to the wolves. He makes his UFC debut against Ray Borg on short notice. And you know what? He didn't get tapped out like everyone else does against Ray Borg, which was really impressive. He comes back, knocks out Joby Sanchez, and now he's fighting Ali Bagotinov. Will he rise to the occasion? That remains to be seen. But from a betting perspective, you know, plus 250, I'd rather take that over minus whatever Ali is. So, you know what? Let's go with Gene.
Interesting. Paulo, are you also going with the underdog here, Jean Herrera? Or do you think Ali Bagotinov will get back into the winning column?
Yeah, I am going with La Pulga here, man. I like him to upset Bagotinov. And in a piece I did for Vendetta Fighter, which I'm back writing for, I said that, you know, you should probably take a shot on John Herrera. Although, on paper, Ali Bagotinov, I mean, this guy's a combat Sambo world champion. This guy has a Greco-Roman wrestling background. I mean, this guy's, on paper, he's going to beast on John Herrera and probably grind him out to decision or or a late finish. But I mean, I think John Herrera has the better striking. He's the faster fighter, and a red flag for Bagautinov for me is that he got busted for the EPO, and that's one of those PEDs that actually really does help you perform, because it helps your cardio and it helps your endurance. And I mean, if he's not on that anymore, I mean, that's a red flag for me. So I might have to go with La Pulga here, pull off the upset.
I'm going to go with Ali Bagautinov here, but I'm not really confident. I do believe Jean Herrera has a chance in this fight. One, because Bagautinov is coming off the failed suspension, or like the suspension for EPO and whatnot. He didn't look fantastic against Benavidez, who of course is a fantastic fighter, which Trevor of course knows the most out of all of us.
One of the most awesome human beings in the world, pound for pound.
Absolutely. Now, Bagautinov, I think he's a better overall fighter in the sense that he'll be able to grind out Herrera. I actually do think Herrera, though, might have the power advantage on the feet. He might even have the technical striking advantage. But with that being said, he doesn't have the grappling advantage. He doesn't have the wrestling advantage. I think Bagautinov wins this on the ground. I think he grinds out Jean Herrera, although I think it's going to be in a way like the Ray Borg fight, which was Jean Herrera's debut, in the sense that Ray Borg still won handily. He won the fight by clear decision, but Herrera still was somewhat impressive because he was such a big underdog going in. He actually didn't impress because he didn't get tapped out in the first round. He didn't look terrible. He didn't get dominated. But I do think Ali Bagautinov wins this fight by decision relatively clearly. Now, next up, we got Colby Covington taking on UFC newcomer Jonathan Munier. Paolo, we'll start with you. Are you going with the Canadian here, the newcomer, or will the American get the win?
It's a tough fight, because if this wasn't a short notice fight for Monet, I don't know how to pronounce his name, so my bad. If it wasn't a short notice fight, I might think he has a fighting chance, because watching this guy's fight, he's a tough customer, man. He's big, he's strong, he's got good wrestling, he's got good grappling, and I mean those are exactly the same tools that Covington's good at too. But the short training camp, I mean he is in fighting shape because he just fought, I think, just a few weeks ago. So it's not like he's been sleeping on his, eating pizza on his couch and playing video games and doing nothing. So this guy's gonna come in ready to fight. But yeah, man, the UFC experience and a full training camp, I have to give it to the American here.
Yeah.
Daniel, do you like Jonathan Munier, I want to say about a 2.5 to 1 underdog going into this matchup, or will Colby Covington get back into the winning column?
Well, I always look into the underdogs, but you got to go with Colby Covington here, man. I mean, more UFC experience, higher caliber wrestler. And, I criticize his striking a lot, but then I went back and watched that Mike Paolo fight. He's actually not half bad on his feet either, man. He's ever improving, ever evolving. I think Munier has a bright future, but he's going to take a setback here.
Trevor, do you like the undefeated Munier?
Absolutely, Covington all the way, man. Covington's going to get it. He's strong as hell. He's ultra athletic, really good wrestling. Really good submission game, honestly, and I think he's got this in the bag. He has a guy that's actually, super short actual notice. Taking the fight. Yeah, Colby Covington all the way.
The thing with this fight is that Covington has fought the better competition. He does have the UFC experience advantage, and if I'm not mistaken, he does have a handful of more fights. Actually, only 2 more fights than Munier, so not tons of experience over Munier, but definitely that UFC experience, that is huge when you're taking on a newcomer. Jonathan Munier has never experienced the spotlight, and as a Canadian, I can say he has had, I believe, if not all, most of his fights in Quebec. And when you think of Canadian MMA right now, the best local MMA is more in the West, Alberta, BC, not necessarily Quebec. So I'm doubting the level of competition from Munier, but at the same time, I haven't been impressed with Covington that much. He got that finish when I believe in his debut, and then from there he's just been less and less impressive, in my opinion. He's a good wrestler. He's a very good wrestler. He grinds people out. That is his game. But Nene is a finisher, and even though his level of competition is absolutely lower, he is in fight shape. So I'm not so sure stepping up on short notice will be a huge deal for him. People that have known Jonathan Nene for a long, long time, way more than I or you guys, have been saying this guy is kind of Canada's secret. No one knew who he was before a couple weeks back, but this guy has been looking good, and he's a finisher. I think I'm actually going to take Jonathan Nene to win this fight. I don't know if he wins it inside the. I don't know if he does it inside the distance. I think that'll be if he does. If he taps out Covington and knocks him out, that would be a huge debut win. I'll actually go Nene here by decision, but nothing would surprise me. Covington could absolutely grind him out, and I wouldn't be surprised with it whatsoever. Now, next up, we got Randa Marcos, the number 14 women's strawweight fighter, taking on Jocelyn Jones-Liebarger. Daniel, who do you like in this matchup?
Randa Marcos, she performed a lot better on the Ultimate Fighter than she has in the UFC. She kind of will win. She'll start out strong, win that first round, then fade towards the second half of the second round, lose the third round, lose a split decision. That's been the story of her career. And with Jocelyn Jones-Liebarger, she comes from the MMA lab. And you guys know what the deal is with those guys like Barberena and Machado. They'll lose that first round, but if you start gassing out in that second or third round, they'll put it on you real, real strong. So, and also Randa left TriStar. I don't know, man. I'm going to lean towards Liebarger, but don't bet on this fight unless you're betting that it goes to a decision.
Yes, I agree with that. Trevor, who are you picking in this one?
I gotta say, I'm pretty much feeling the exact same as my man Daniel. I think I'm gonna bet a small amount on actually, what's your name again? I'm sorry, Jocelyn Jones-Liebarger. I do think she can actually score the upset. Pretty close fight, but yeah, Jocelyn though.
Paolo, are you going the underdog here, Jocelyn Jones-Liebarger, or will red hair Randa Marcos get the win?
You know what? When the matchups were already made, I already had my eye on Lieberger, and I was hoping that she'd be a big underdog here. And she's like, what is she right now? 2-1? No, she can't. No, she's plus 150 or something. There. Yeah, so I was like I kind of wanted her to be a bit higher because I think Marcos is a bit overrated. But yeah, man, I'm on Lieberger here. And Nick, though, I'm kind of hesitant because Daniel already picked her. Trevor already picked her. So if you pick Lieberger, man, then I'm going to have to change my pick to Marcos because you know what I think about everyone picking underdogs, man. But yeah, no, they already said it, man. The thing about Marcos is she's a wrestler who thinks she's a striker because she started to train her striking. So what she does is she can grind. She has a path to victory here. She can grind out Lieberger, but I don't think she will. I think she's going to try to stand in there, load up on her right hand, and try to knock her out. And I don't think that's going to happen. I think Lieberger's going to outstrike her, outpoint her, and win a decision.
Now, the last time everyone picked a underdog, and then I picked the favorite, the underdog won. So I'm not so sure how accurate follow that is. If you all pick underdogs, they lose. But I'll save you nonetheless, even if you still believe that. I'm going Randa Marcos here. I don't understand this hype on Jocelyn Jones-Liebarger. Not that I'm saying Randa Marcos is this great fighter that is going to win the championship one day. She's far from that. She's very far from that. But I don't think Jocelyn Jones-Liebarger is any closer. I wasn't impressed in her debut. She kind of got beat by Torres pretty clearly. I will admit, though, she looked decent for stepping up on short notice against a top 5 women's strawweight. So give her credit. And what was that?
Oh, I said she looks really decent. If you ask me, Nick, she looks really decent.
I don't know. If you
the body
take it into I have no idea what you're talking about, but it's all good. Randa Marcos, I think she takes this one. But yeah, Daniel brought up that she left TriStar, and I don't know. That's not a good move. If you're training at TriStar, you should stay at TriStar. They are one of the best gyms in the entire world, not just in Canada. Now she's training at, I want to say, down in Michigan with at Darren Cruikshank's camp, or the camp Darren Cruikshank trains out of.
Why did she make that jump? Do you know?
You're cutting. She's been going back and forth. She initially trained there, and then she moved up to TriStar, and then she moved back.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I don't know why she left TriStar. I think that was a mistake. Liebarger has the gym advantage, but nonetheless, this is a coin flip, and so I'm going to go with the Canadian when it's a coin flip. So whatever, random Marcos. It's not going to be that good of a fight. It's kind of a whatever fight to me. Flip a coin, pick whoever the coin lands on. That's my analysis of that fight. But this fight is one I'm looking forward to. We got Elias the Spartan Theodoro taking on Smiling Sam Alvey. Daniel, who's going to win this fight?
Unfortunately, most likely Elias by decision. But man, do I hope Sam Alvey knocks him out. Not that I have anything against Elias. I like him a lot. I just like Sam Alvey better, you know. I always like the knockout artist over the grinder. That's just my preference. But, I mean, both guys are good. Elias is really tough. He showed that in his last fight against Thiago Santos, who we all know is a beast. I mean, Elias hung in there, man. But, you know, Sam Alvey is a vet of this game. He's been around the sport a long time. The biggest problem with him is he can be super inactive at times. And, you know, he'll just take leg kicks and smile at you. But it's a matter of landing that big right hand. You know, that right hand is almost like the equivalent of Paul Daly's left hook. So if it can land, he might be able to put Elias down. But if I had to put money on it, which I'm not going to do, but I got to make a pick for Topmaster, I got Elias here by decision.
All right, now, Paolo, are you going with the Spartan, Elias Theodoro, the Tough Nations winner, or will Sam Alvey get that knockout win?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Elias here. And I know MMA math doesn't work, but he could survive Thiago Santos, who's a high-volume, more precise, more versatile striker, quicker striker than Sam Alvey. He can survive Sam Alvey. I mean, Daniel said it. Sam Alvey's going to look at you and look to land a big bomb and probably put you away, and I don't think he's going to land it, man. I think Elias is going to pressure him, put him up against the fence, eventually get him down to the ground and grind him out, man. I mean, didn't Tom Watson just beat Sam Alvey a couple of fights ago? I mean, people remember him knocking out Cesar Mutanch. They remember him knocking out, what's his name, Dan Kelly. And yeah, I mean, it's easy to get on his hype train because he's such a lovable guy too. But I mean, Elias is a level above him, so I think he's going to win.
Trevor, do you agree with both Paolo and Daniel here? Will the Tough Nations winner Elias Theodoro get the win, or are you picking Smiling Sam Alvey to get the upset?
Yeah, I think he's gonna actually even get. I'll say a finish in the third round, Elias. I think he's just really, really good standing. I think you can beat him on the feet. I think you can beat him on the ground. I think you can beat him wherever it goes. So yeah, I have him finishing it in the second or third round.
I'm going Elias Theodoro here as well. Sam Alvey, he's going to look for the bomb. He's going to leave himself open. Elias Theodoro will be able to pressure him. When Sam Alvey leaves himself open, either getting a takedown or just pressure him up against the fence into the clinch, he's going to use just Elias Theodoro. Will Elias Theodoro Sam Alvey? His game is relatively simple. Take you down, grind you up against the fence, ground and pound you until you're either too tired to do anything, and then he'll finish you on the ground, or he will win by decision. Or, of course, he gets outstruck by Thiago Santos, but that's another side of the story. Sam Alvey won't. He could outstrike him, but like Paolo added, he's not the level of striker of Thiago Santos. Theodoro should win this fight. He's a big favorite for a reason. I'm on Theodoro here by decision. But if you're going to bet this fight, I would hedge it. Sam Alvey by knockout and Theodoro by decision. Now, next up, opening up the Fox Sports 2 prelims, we got a very, very fun bantamweight matchup. Chris the Real Deal Beal taking on Joe Soto, the former bantamweight title challenger. Trevor, I know you know Joe Soto really well. Do you think he gets the win here?
First of all, this is such a sick fight. Arguably fight of the night, I think. Soto, I do think wins it, but I am worried because he doesn't have exactly much of a chin, and he is fighting a guy that has some serious power behind his punches. I do go Soto, but I am a little, yeah. So Soto, and I'm not going to actually bet on it. I'll say that. Soto, but I'm not betting on it.
Daniel, Joe Soto or Chris Beal?
Man, it's a tough one because Chris Beal, he is the more athletic guy. He's a specimen, but he always gasses out in that second and third round. But with Soto, whenever you bet on him in big fights, he tends to lose. And this is the UFC, man. I hope Soto comes through because it would be nice to see him finally get that first UFC victory, stay in the promotion and all that. But I think Chris Beal's going to win the fight, but I'll be rooting for Soto.
And Paolo, Joe Soto or Chris Beal, who wins this bantamweight matchup?
Yeah, I gotta go with Chris. I was gonna say Chris Soto, but I gotta go with Chris Beal here. But the thing is, yeah, Chris Beal, he's moving back up to 135, which I think is a good move because, I don't think he's won a fight at 125, and all his wins are at 135. So I don't know why he even went down to 125 in the first place. But yeah, maybe that'll help his endurance. Maybe he's gonna be healthier in there. Maybe that's gonna add to his power and stuff. And Soto, yeah, man, his chin just vanishes sometimes. Sometimes it looks like the fighter just tapped him and then he just went totally out. Like sometimes I gotta rewatch a couple of his fights to see did he really get hit in that fight? Because he didn't look like he got hit in that fight. But, he got grazed and he goes out like a light. So it's hard to put your money on someone like that. But I think he's the better skilled fighter, especially on the ground here. And if this goes on the ground, Beal's in trouble. But I gotta go with Chris Beal here, probably by knockout at some point.
Yeah, the thing with Chris Beal is, like Paulo added, I'm really, really happy she's moving back up to bantamweight because I was initially, when it was announced he was moving down to flyweight to fight Neil Seary. That was before the whole IV ban came into play, before all of these deaths started occurring due to weight cutting. It was before he all of a sudden, weight cutting is a huge issue. That kind of happened late last year, from what I kind of remember. But yeah, moving down to flyweight, not a good move. It was tough for him to make weight. He wasn't as active in the cage. As far as output goes, he was a bit slower. He just really did not look like the Chris Beal we saw in his first UFC fight in his debut against Patrick Williams. That is the Chris Beal I believe we see against Joe Soto. Joe Soto is a very good fighter. He's well-rounded. But and the thing is, people look at his record and say, he hasn't even won a UFC fight. He's lost 3 fights. But then you look at the competition, and he's lost to good guys. TJ Dillashaw, obviously, first off, former champion, one of the best bantamweights right now. Burchak is an up-and-comer. He's really good. Tanaka was that fight where it's like I actually scored that fight for Soto, but even Tanaka is pretty tough. Chris Beal, though, again, a pretty tough fight for Joe Soto. I think Chris Beal wins this fight. I think he's the more athletic guy. I think he packs a punch. I think he's the harder puncher. And like you guys said, Joe Soto's chin is a bit iffy, but at the same time, you look at the guys who got knocked out to, and it's not necessarily a surprise because it is 2 killers. With that being said, I do think Chris Beal gets this win. I will go Chris Beal here. I'll actually pick him by knockout. I think he knocks out Joe Soto either in the 2nd or 3rd round. Now next up, we got a very fun middleweight matchup. Tamdan, the Boncat McCrory taking on Christoph Jocko. Daniel, do you like McCrory here or Jocko?
First of all, this is a great fight. Tamdan McCrory brings it every single time. But you know what? I really like Christoph Jocko here. Plus 200 underdog. And this is a guy that, if you complain about close decisions, Jocko is the kind of guy you want to be on his side when it comes to winning those close split decisions. And that's exactly what he's going to do here. He's going to win a very close split decision, and then he's going to breakdance afterwards. And, he's going to run around the ring. He's going to pot shot him. Tamdan's going to be chasing him. Some man initiated the grappling exchanges. Jocko isn't that kind of dude. Jocko likes to run around the ring, keep it pretty. And, I think in the third round, Jocko's going to gas, and McRory's going to finally get him down, but I don't think he'll be able to tap him out. So, Jocko by decision here.
All right, now, Paolo, do you like Krzysztof Jocko or Camden McRory?
I gotta go with McRory here, but I don't think he's gonna finish him, man. The thing about Yotko is he's one of these fighters who, like, I don't want to compare him to Norman Park because he doesn't fight like him, but he's one of these guys. He's a European fighter. He's really well-rounded. He goes across Europe looking for different kinds of coaches, like boxing coaches, wrestling coaches, grappling coaches, to round out his game. And that's why he's so hard to look good against, no matter who he's fighting. He could be fighting a really good striker, and he's going to take him down. He could be fighting a good grappler, and he's going to keep the fight standing and outstrike the guy. This guy's a smart fighter, and, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to look good against this guy. And the thing about Barncat is, I know people were riding that some man hype train, and we're betting him. And I was like, McRory's a dangerous guy, man, and he ends up beating Saman. But if he finishes Yotko, I'd be really impressed. I think that McRory should be part of the top 15 if that happens, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think he's going to win by a decision here. But if Yotko gets the decision, like Daniel said, I'm not going to be at all shocked either.
All right, now, Six Figs, are you going with Camden McRory here, the Barncat, or will Krzysztof Jocko McRory and win by split decision?
I've got to go Camden McRory. I think that he has a better overall game. I do think it's going to be a pretty fun fight. I think it's definitely going to go all the way. I don't think we're going to see a finish. If we do see a finish, I would be surprised. But, yeah, I'm going to go with the Barn Cat, if that's what a Barn Cat does.
I'm going the Barn Cat here as well. I was actually really impressed when he fought Josh Saman. I knew that was a really close fight, but I did not expect Camden McRory to get that tap-out win back in December. He looked really, really good since coming off all the injuries, his layoff. I want to say it was like a 3 or 4 year layoff. Then he fought a couple times in Bellator. 5-year layoff. Yeah, it was even longer than I thought, or than I said there. Fought Brennan Ward, fought another guy. He looked really good in Bellator and looked just as good over in the UFC. Got that second round submission, I believe, over Saman, like I added. Krzysztof Jocko, though. I keep fading this guy. I pick Scott Askham against him. I pick whoever else against him. And what does he do? Win by either unanimous, very close, or a split decision. So that could very easily happen here. I'm not impressed with Jocko. I'm impressed with McRory, but oftentimes that reverses, and Jocko still can get that split decision win. If McRory doesn't go for it, like, I'm not saying go wild at the opening bell, but if he doesn't try, like, if he just kind of sits back the whole fight, Jocko will win because judges love him, and he somehow does what he needs to do to just barely win. But I don't think that's going to happen. I do think Camden McRory will be aggressive enough here. I think he's actually the better fighter. Most people are saying Jocko is a better fighter, but I actually think McRory all around is a better fighter. I actually think Camden McRory will finish Krzysztof Jocko and put the end of the boring split decisions for Krzysztof Jocko. I'm going McRory here, but I'll go specific. I'll go second round submission. I just haven't been impressed with Jocko. I can't pick guys unless they're fighting terrible fighters that I haven't been impressed with, that are winning split decisions, close decisions. That could go either way. McRory is the opposite of that. He's a very fun fighter, and he's finishing fights. And I think skill level is just higher all around. So Camden McRory for me by submission midway through the fight. Now next up, we got a light heavyweight matchup between Misha Serkinov and UFC newcomer Ian Cutelaba. Trevor, who do you like in this 205-pound matchup?
So in this fight, it's hard to get a read on it because neither of them has really fought really good level of competition. I'm going to get a little crazy here, and I guess I'm going to go with the underdog because I think that he can actually finish him standing up. I don't think Serkinov has really. I would say that stand up is. I would say that there's a lot of holes, and I think that they're going to be exploited. So I have the underdog Ian Cutelaba winning by a finish, first or second round.
Interesting. Paulo, will the underdog win this fight, the UFC newcomer Ian Cutelaba, or will Misha Cirkunov continue his winning ways in the octagon?
I'll tell you what, for the sake of maybe for betting, for DraftKings, for Topmaster or whatever, you got to go with Cutelaba here, just out of a sheer reason that he's worth more points than Cirkunov is. But Trevor said it already. I mean, like, yeah, they haven't fought a lot of good guys. I mean, especially Cutelaba, man. I mean, this guy's essentially unbeaten because his one loss was he got disqualified because he was whacking a guy at the back of the head when he was down. But that guy was already beaten up. He was on his way to destroying that guy, and then he hit him in the back of the head. And then the ref's like, yeah, you can't do that. You're disqualified. So that's how he lost. But, man, the guy he fights are, like, cans of the cans, man. Like, I'm checking out the records of the guys he one-punch knockouts, and sometimes it looks like that they just took a guy from the streets, put him in MMA gear, threw him in there, and gave him some name. It's like, oh, yeah, this guy, he crushed this guy in 6 seconds. Joe Schmo from Ukraine, 0-2 record. Joe Schmo from Albania, 0-1 record. So I'm like, really? So, but for this pick, I gotta go with Cirkunov just because he's got the UFC experience. He trains in a better camp, but man, Cutelaba this guy's heavy hands. So I mean, yeah, there's a chance he catches Cirkunov and finishes him. But for a pick, I gotta go with the Latvian, the Canadian here.
Daniel, to round off your guys' picks, are you also going with the semi-Canadian? Do you want to consider that Misha Cirkunov, or will the newcomer pull off the upset?
Well, man, I've been waiting a long time to fade Misha Cirkunov because it's right around the corner. Will it be this Saturday? Man, I don't know, because the thing with Ion is that, like you guys mentioned, he's been fighting all cans, and this is his UFC debut, and also he should be fighting at middleweight. But man, the guy knocks dudes out. At least when you go out there against a can, he handles cans how cans should be handled, and that's put them away right away. And the thing with Misha Cirkunov is he's slow, he's stiff as a board, he probably needs some back surgery, and I'm waiting for the opportunity to bet against this guy. And when I get the opportunity, I will take it head on. But man, I don't know, bro. I think Eon's about to lose this one. I got to go with Misha, unfortunately. I really want Eon to win, but I'll wait for a bigger underdog next time out.
I am going Misha Cirkunov here as well to round off the hat trick, if that's what you want to call it. It's a Canadian card, so we might as well. You guys put it perfectly. Misha Cirkunov hasn't been overly impressive because he isn't finishing guys that really don't look like UFC caliber fighters, and they're either going to the second round, late in the first. Like, I mean, he's been okay. He's been somewhat impressive, and Cutelaba hits hard. He's a finisher, so he could knock out Cirkunov. But I do believe that Ian Cutelaba, without knowing a whole lot about him, this is the trend with Misha Cirkunov. They're lacking Canadian stars and just Canadian fighters in general. So they're feeding 3 or 4 guys to Cirkunov, then they give him a top 15 guy, and then that's where Daniel can fade him. But Ian Cutelaba is not a top 15 guy, not top 20, probably not top 30. I do like that he's from the Republic of Moldova, but that isn't going to make me pick him. I'm going Latvian here, Misha Cirkunov. I'm going Cirkunov by knockout in the first round. Ground and pound. Now, next up, headlining the Fox Sports 2 prelims, you got Jason Sago taking on Leandro Silva. Paolo, is it Sago or is it Silva?
I'm gonna say Sago, but I'm honestly not that confident about it, man. See, the thing is, I really want him to destroy Leandro Silva because I think Leandro Silva's one of those boring fighters in the UFC. No offense to the dude, but the most entertaining and memorable Leandro Silva fight I can remember is when he got that phantom guillotine choke against Drew Dober, which Cab MMA just turned into a no contest. So I think Sago's the better striker. Actually, Leandro Silva could be the better striker, but the thing about him is he doesn't like to strike. He likes to do nothing on his feet. That's why that fight with Escudero was the perfect fight, because he got 2 guys who didn't like to do anything when they were fighting, and he ends up winning that. But I like Sago here, and I mean Sago's picture, unrelated note, it kind of looks like Jim Carrey, so I'm gonna start calling him Jim Carrey, Jason Sago for the win.
I like it. Trevor, Jason Sago or Leandro Silva?
You know, not a huge fan of either of these guys. I will go ahead and say Silva is not very fun to watch. He's not exactly fucking a can't-miss fighter. You know, he's definitely not a can't-miss fighter. But I do think that Silva has faced a fairly high level of competition, and he has some solid wins under his belt, even though they were hard-to-watch wins. And I'm thinking he gets another basically Leandro Silva special, which is a really, really boring, slow, and uneventful win Saturday night, Leandro Silva.
Daniel, does Leandro Silva get his Leandro Silva special split decision win, or will Jason Sago pull off the W?
Well, first of all, Nick and Paolo, I want to tell you guys that Jason Sago is one of your brightest Canadian prospects, and he will go on to do some very good things, man. But he's going to lose a split decision Saturday night. You know, I think the way he wins his fights are via finish, and the way he loses is via split decision. Now, yeah, Leandro Silva might not be that fun to watch, but I mean, when you're betting, who gives a fuck if he's fun to watch? He gets it done. And there's a saying that defense wins championships. And if you watch Leandro Silva's fights, I mean, the dude's never been rocked. He's never been dropped. When he gets taken down, his guard never gets passed, and the dude just figures out a way to win. His only losses, I mean, he lost a close split decision to Trinaldo, which he arguably won, and we all see what Trinaldo is doing to the lightweight division. He's killing everyone. So, I mean, dude, Leandro plus 170, let's get that close split decision, just like my boy Jocko's about to do at plus 200.
So what you're saying, Leandro Silva, next lightweight champion?
Yeah, man, that's hilarious, dude. Well, first of all, we got to get past the really tough Royler Gracie black belt in Jason Sago, who's going to go on to do some great things. I mean, dude, he fought a close split decision with Paul Felder, a close one with Jesse Robinson, but he lost both of those. Leandro Silva isn't often on the wrong end of these split decisions, so got to go with him here. And he's not getting finished either, which is the only way that Jason Sago has won fights in his career.
Now it is time for the end of Leandro Silva split decision wins, just like it is the end of split decision wins for Christoph Jocko. Daniel broke this down fight perfectly. He said it's either Silva by split decision or Sago inside the distance. He said Silva by split decision, but I'm going the other way around. I am going Jason Sago by submission. I think he is the better grappler. This guy, I wasn't that high on him before his last fight, and then he just goes in there and absolutely steamrolls. What is his name? Salas, Justin Salas. He looked amazing. He looked really, really good against Sago, and I believe that was coming off the layoff too. Before that, he lost a split to Paul Felder, who maybe is a bit over it now. He hasn't looked overly great, but he's still a really good fighter. So it's an interesting matchup because Leandro Silva, in a sense, is underrated because he's fought some tough competition, and he has a record of 19-2 and 1 draw and 1 no contest, which was, of course, that fake submission win over Drew Dover that Paolo brought up. So he's a better fighter than some people think. Some people say, oh, Leandro Silva sucks, but they're basing that off the fact that he's boring. And like Daniel said, he may be boring, but he is a good fighter. But at the same time, Jason Sago is ever improving. He's looking really, really good as of late. I'm going to say Sago takes him down, grabs that, takes it back, and gets a hold of a choke. Whether that's in the first round, second round, I don't know. But fairly early on in the fight, I think Jason Sago taps out Leandro Silva. Now, next up, on the main card, opening up the Fox Sports 1 main card, we have a women's flyweight matchup. So this is the UFC's first women's flyweight fight in history. They aren't starting the division quite yet, but I do believe with this fight, both fighters in the fight, they're saying, oh, this weight cut has been so much easier. I'm sure other fighters would also fight a flyweight. So I think soon enough they will have a flyweight division, an active division that is. But we have Valerie Letourneau, the number 5 strawweight, taking on Joanne Calderwood, the number 12 strawweight. 10 less pounds to cut for both very large strawweights. Daniel, who's going to win this fight, Trouble or JoJo?
I got Valerie Letourneau. I just think she's meaner, and that's, to put it simply, that's going to be the story here. Now, there's an interesting backstory because Valerie trained at TriStar for 10 years, and now Joanne's training at TriStar. But, I mean, for us, can't go in that octagon and fight for Joanne. And I just think, like I said to start, this breakdown with, Valerie's meaner. That'll be the difference. So she'll win a decision here.
And Daniel, Valerie Letourneau or JoJo Calderwood?
You just said Daniel, my man.
Oh, I said Daniel. I meant Paolo. I wanted Daniel's breakdown a second time. I liked it so much. Paolo, who wins this fight?
Nice recovery, by the way.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Val. I mean, yeah, Daniel said she's tougher, man. She's a better boxer. I mean, she lasted 5 rounds with Jan Jacek, and she didn't back down, I mean, she got outskilled, outstruck, but, but that's a skill difference. That wasn't so much because she was afraid of her. Like, Val's not going to back down against anyone. And the thing about JoJo is I know she was going through some rough times when she lost against Morose, but that just shows you that if something goes wrong in her life, if, like, it's not the same routine that she's used to and stuff, she could be influenced and not look good out there. So who knows what's going on with her life right now. But with Val, she went through a lot of crap during the UFC 193 thing with the whole thing about Hector. I think she had some issues with the weight cut and stuff like that. I mean, there was a lot of crap happening, and she still came in there and performed. So, yeah, you got to give it to the tougher fighter here. So I'm going to give it to Val. There might even be an outside chance she hurts and finishes JoJo, but I'm not going to bet on that. So.
Fair enough. Now, Paulo, who wins this fight? Just kidding. Trevor, JoJo or Valerie Letourneau?
So I think that this is also going to be a pretty good fight, and I also have to go with Valerie. I think that she's much more aggressive, much more on the offense. I think that in her last fight, she really proved a lot to me. I think her stock is much, much higher now, even after the loss. I think that the loss showed us that she is arguably one of the top, 5 or 6. I'm sorry. What are they called?
Strawweight.
Strawweights. I'm sorry. I was drawing a blank. I was gonna say atom weight. I knew that wasn't right. Anyway, so I'm gonna go with Valerie. I think that she can kind of push her around, and I think that she has a pretty awesome value. Actually, I think that she is gonna win a pretty wide, probably 3-round decision, and I think that there's some actually really good value in her. Because it's almost, I would say it's pretty much a sure thing, knock on wood.
Yeah, I actually agree with everyone here. Valerie Letourneau, I think, does win this fight. It's closer than some people think, though. Don't count out Calderwood. She has her personal issues, or she says she has her personal issues aside. We'll see what happens during the fight. We'll probably be able to tell if they are gone or if they are still there. But I actually like what Daniel said. Valerie Letourneau is simply the meaner fighter. Calderwood really, you can be friendly and you can be an MMA fighter at the same time, but you have to be aggressive in the cage, and Calderwood really isn't that aggressive. Plus, I think she's actually, especially after that loss to Rose, after that then she wasn't really overrated, but before that she was. She nearly got knocked out by Courtney Casey, and Courtney Casey isn't that good. She's a scrapper, and that's about it. Calderwood won that fight, but she didn't look that impressive against a lower-level competition fighter. Valerie Letourneau just fought Joanna Jędrzejczyk for the title and looked pretty good doing so. Joanna Jędrzejczyk won clearly. She won decisive, 49-46 decision. But especially early on, Valerie Letourneau looked pretty good. She was getting in her fair share of shots. She never hurt Joanna. She never nearly got the finish or came close to the win or anything like that. But she overall looked good. She didn't get dominated. That was something that stood out in that fight to me, because I did think Joanna would dominate her. Valerie Letourneau, she's more aggressive. She'll be able to grind out Calderwood. You never know. Calderwood could lock up some sort of submission off her back. I don't think that happens. It's a possibility, but I'm going Letourneau here by decision, quite decisive. Now, next up, we got Olivier Aubin-Mercier, who the UFC is praying starts to win against higher level competition because they need more Canadian stars, and they're branding him as the next GSP, taking on Tyval Beauty, Paolo Beauty, what is his nickname? GT? Okay, GT or the Quebec Kid.
Gowdy? Gucci? What? Anyway.
No, his nickname is no. His nickname is GT. The letters GT.
Not TG, eh? GT. Yeah, you know what? I really want to pick Gowdy, but not after his last performance, man. I mean, yeah, he got caught. That's what happened. He got caught. He got choked out. Happens to the best of them. So it's really hard to see what this guy's at. I mean, he did beat Anton Koivunen, who was like a UFC vet. And I mean, I think he knocked him out at some point. But that fight was back and forth, man. They were going back and forth with each other. But it's just hard for me to be confident that he keeps the fight standing because I'm still not sold on Aubin-Mercier's stand-up game. And his chin, too. I still don't. This guy's chin hasn't been tested either. I think if you light him up a couple of times, you could, like, break him. But, yeah, on the ground, for sure, Aubin-Mercier, it's almost a foregone conclusion. If he gets a fight on the ground, he could probably tap this guy out real quick. Not really high on Aubin-Mercier, but I don't know what I'm getting with Gowdy either. So, you know what? Let's go with the underdog here for shits and giggles. Yeah, let's go with Thibaut Gowdy here to win a decision against Aubin-Mercier.
Interesting.
You traitor. Trevor, are you going to... actually, I was going to ask if you're going to also be a traitor, but you're not Canadian. Gucci, GT, or Olivier Aubin-Mercier?
You know, I was following along, feeling everything he was saying. You know, Paolo was like right on point, everything he was saying. I was like, right. And then at the very end, he said he was going for the underdog, and then that kind of threw the loop. I don't think Ollie is all that impressive, as he said. I think he's a little bit overhyped, you know, probably because of his success on the show. But I still do think that he's probably being set up to win, you know. And I don't know much about the guy, but I would imagine that basically the people in the UFC do, and I think they're kind of giving him one of several softballs because all of his UFC fights have basically been, you know, similar matchmaking where they basically want the guy to win. You can tell.
Except for the one he lost.
Which was against
Ferreira.
Diego Ferreira. Yes.
Laprise or okay.
No. Oh, and Laprise. Right.
So I think he's gonna win, but I don't think he's all that impressive. I think that he will be losing soon. I just don't think it's this fight.
Well, yeah, I agree. He's already lost twice. I do think more losses come in the near future. Daniel, you picked Ferreira in their last fight. You're not overly high on OAM, I would assume there, or maybe you just are the biggest Carlos Diego Ferreira fanboy. I don't know the answer, but Goatee or the Quebec Kid.
Gowdy is what we like to refer to as a jobber, someone that's brought in to lose. And that's exactly what's going to happen here. You know, OAM, yeah, I'll be looking to fade him down the line, just like I faded him against Carlos Diego Ferreira. Nice little plus 260 there. And listen, OAM's best weapon is not his grappling, it's his kicks. His kicks are so goddamn hard. He breaks dudes with those kicks. If you talk to David Machad, he broke some shit on David Machad, dude. And I think David had like a collapse something in there, man. Like he told me about it. I don't remember right now, but he got hurt badly. Shit was broken due to this guy's kicks. And shit will be broken on Saturday night due to this guy's kicks. He's going to tap out Gowdy in the second round. And real quick, like I said, I will be fading OAM next time he fights a real fighter.
Okay, so GT the Jobber is exactly that. He's been brought in just like all of OAM's other wins to lose. I will actually say Tony Sims had somewhat of a chance in that fight, but he's not very good. He got tapped out by Abel Trujillo. OAM, on the other hand, I've been fading this guy for a while. I like Daniel. Actually, I I tailed Daniel's pick on that one. I picked Carlos Dicofe here as well. I just haven't been impressed really whatsoever with next GSP, or should I say the not next GSP. This guy's gonna lose, like Daniel said, when he fights a good fighter. GT the Jobber is not a good fighter. He got capped up by Team Apocalypse, and I want to say under a minute, maybe over. It was the first round for sure. It was quick. I remember that.
It was seconds, dude. Got caught with like the
right.
first clean shot he landed.
Right. So in like 20 seconds, whatever, it didn't take long, and that's Team Apocalypse, right? OAM not the best on the very far from the best on the feet, and he's overrated completely. But this guy is a better grappler than Team Apocalypse. He will take down GT the Jobber in the first round, first minute, couple minutes, whatever. Tap him out. But then, like Daniel said, look to fade him in his next fight. He hasn't been impressed with in his UFC tenure, really whatsoever. Yeah, he beats this guy, but he loses very soon. Now, next up, we got a very fun light heavyweight matchup. Picture perfect. Whoever lands first will win this fight. Steve, the Bosse, as everyone likes to call him, the former hockey scrapper, taking on the real OC, Sean O'Connell. Daniel, who's going to win this fight, the real OC or the boss?
You know, I honestly think Steve Bosse's going to knock him out, but I'm going to pick the real OC just because in Bosse's last two fights, he hasn't even been past the first minute mark. And, I mean, who knows what the hell is going to happen if he goes to deep waters. And also, I got to give him a lot of credit, though. He came back from the most vicious knockout, one of the top 5 I've ever seen. That head kick KO to the hands of Thiago Marreta. I mean, one doesn't simply come back from that knockout, you know what I mean? And he did, but he did it against a retired journeyman. So now he's fighting the real OC. It's going to be tough. So it's a matter of, can Bosse knock him out in the first minute, or is OC going to weather that storm and potentially knock Bosse out or drag him into deep waters? So I'm going to pick the real OC, but I'm not too confident.
Now, Paolo, are you going to the real OC, the underdog here, or will the Canadian Steve Bosse pick up a 2-fight winning streak in the UFC? How crazy does that sound? Steve Bosse on a 2-fight winning streak in the UFC.
I don't think it's that crazy at all, right? Because one, you're fighting in the light heavyweight division where there's a lot of knockouts,
right.
And two, the light heavyweight division beyond the top 5 or top 6 is like a free for all for anyone, pretty much. So I think he's gonna knock out Sean O'Connell pretty quickly. But like Daniel said, what happens if you can't knock out Sean O'Connell early, man? Is he gonna gas and look completely bad? I mean, Sean O'Connell himself doesn't have the best cardio himself, so I mean, this is going to be one of those fights that's like a heavyweight fight. It's either going to be a quick knockout or it's going to be a really bad, drawn-out affair in the later round. So I'm hoping for all of us that either guy knocks the other out, and I'm going to lean slightly on Bosse to take Sean O'Connell's head off.
All right, now, Smoke Jones, who's going to win this fight, real OC or the boss?
I got to go with the boss. I don't think he's the real boss. I think he stole the nickname from the real boss, Bruce Springsteen, but that's another conversation. Also, Sasha Banks has claimed that nickname too. But anyway, I got to go with the boss. I'm a little bummed out because every time I bet on this guy, well, basically, when I bet on him so far, he lost, and then when I bet against him, he won. So I feel like that should be maybe if you're listening to this, I think he's going to win. So maybe you should bet on the real OC.
Yeah, and you should, because I'm picking him, but at the same time, I often do pretty bad in my picks when it comes to light heavyweight fighters. That it comes down to a knockout. I actually don't think it comes down to whether Sean O'Connell can weather the storm. I think it comes down to straight up who lands first. Who lands first? In my opinion, Sean the real OC O'Connell. It could go either way. It's a coin flip. Steve Bosse, like Paolo added, now the only reason I said, oh, it's so crazy, he's on 2-fight winning streak perhaps, the only reason I said that was because everyone says, oh, he's so bad at MMA, he's a hockey fighter, blah, blah, blah. But honestly, in the light heavyweight division, when you're fighting guys like a retired journeyman like Tehuno, like Daniel mentioned, or you're fighting someone like Sean O'Connell, who I love the guy, but it's Sean O'Connell. He's not the next champion at light heavyweight, but at the same time, nor is Steve Bosse. I'm going Sean O'Connell here by first round knockout, but nothing would surprise me because it's whoever lands first is going down. Sean O'Connell does not have a good chin, but nor does Steve Bosse. It's whoever lands first. I do think Sean O'Connell has the better cardio, so if by chance it goes into the second or even a third, favor O'Connell in the later rounds, but I don't think it's going to go there. I actually think Sean O'Connell finishes this fight in the first 3 minutes. Now we have the co-main event of the evening. UFC Ottawa co-headliner Donald Cowboy Cerrone in a second UFC welterweight fight, taking on the Predator, Patrick Cote, Paolo. Cote is the underdog here, but I'm seeing a lot of people picking Cote here to win the upset. As a Canadian, are you going with Cote or will a Cowboy win this fight?
Well, first off, I just want to state the obvious that this fight has to be the front runner for fight of the night outside the main event. I mean, the only reason why not is because this fight could get ended real quick. I mean, but there's going to be a post-fight bonus here because both fighters are showmen, man. They're in there to entertain the fans, and they're in there to finish. Like, you can hardly think of a Donald Cerrone fight where it was boring. Likewise, Cote has been in entertaining scraps as of late. But Donald Cerrone is like a huge step up for him, man. I mean, yeah, he's like won 5 of his 6 fights, but that's because he's been fighting the Joe Riggs, Josh Berkmans, and what's the last guy he beat? Ben Saunders.
Saunders.
Yeah, of the division. But what's impressive about Cote is he keeps getting better, man. I know, like a lot of people still have an impression that he's this guy who washed out of the UFC. He came back and has been winning a lot of fights now. But if you watch his last fights against Ben Saunders, I remember we broke down that fight and we were like, if he jumps into Ben Saunders' guard, he's fucked. And that's exactly what he did, and he knocked out Ben Saunders. He even almost submitted the dude. And then against Joshua Berkman, who's like iron-chinned, I don't think he's ever been knocked out, or if he has, it hasn't happened a lot. And he comes out there and knocks him out, down to the lightweight division, actually. So I can see why there's a lot of hype on Patrick Cote, and you know what? I'm gonna take him, man. And I think he's gonna knock out Cerrone early. The thing about Donald Cerrone that I don't like is, and that what makes me nervous about him, especially as a bettor, is that he starts so slow, man, and he's so stiff when he comes out there, the upright stance. No head movement. That's why he keeps eating those body kicks and keeps getting destroyed by them, because he's like this tall, lanky fighter. His hands are like kind of high, so there's like that big section in his midsection that's really open for shots like that. But at the same time, with what Eddie Alvarez did to him, with put him up in the clinch, started pounding on his face and stuff like that, I think Cote could do something like that. And the difference is that Cote is going to hit harder and he's going to finish Cerrone. So I'm going to go with Patrick Cote by TKO here.
Interesting.
Now, Trevor.
So,
yeah, go ahead.
So, I am scared about the first round. Absolutely scared about the first round because I think that there's a huge size difference and there's probably going to be a humongous difference also in the actual punching power. But I still got to go with the Cowboy on this. I think that he has a much more versatile game. And as long as he can weather the first storm, then I think he should be fine. So I got Cowboy.
And Daniel, are you agreeing with Trevor Jones here, or go Paolo? Who wins this fight, Patrick Cote or the Cowboy, the former title challenger in the lightweight division, Donald Cerrone?
Let me ask you something. How many times do we have to learn the lesson that Cowboy doesn't lose to non-top 5 fighters? I mean, how many times are you going to fade this guy until you realize that he beats everyone that's not in the top 5? Cote's not even in the top 15. There's a reason he's a 500 UFC fighter. I know he's 12-11, but he's actually a 500 fighter because Alessio Sakara knocked him out. And listen, first 2 minutes are going to be scary, obviously, and Cowboy knows that. We all know that. Cowboy even said, he's got no head movement. He comes out super slow, but he still manages to get these victories. Since when is Cote known for his body work? I mean, he doesn't throw big body kicks. He doesn't throw big body shots. He's just known for that overhand right, that left hook. His ground game has gotten a little better. And what he needs to do, like Paolo mentioned, is bum rush him like Eddie Alvarez did. If he does that, maybe he can have some success. But I gotta go with the Cowboy here, man.
Yes, I am going Donald Cowboy Cerrone here as well. Let me tell you why. Now, this is a close fight in the sense that, as Daniel added, the first 2 minutes, the first 3 minutes are going to be some scary, scary minutes. Patrick Cote has his right hand. That is a bomb for the welterweight division. He has 10 times the power of Donald Cerrone. I think his chin is also better. But Donald Cerrone, his game is deeper. He has more tools to win, more ways to win. He can head kick knockout Patrick Cote. It's possible. His kicks will knock out just about anyone. He has power in his kicks. And Cote, his chin is decent, but he has been knocked out. It is possible. He can tap him out on the ground. Cote doesn't have a fantastic ground game. He's not known for his grappling. He's just magnificent BJJ. Cowboy, on the other hand, is really good on the ground as well. Off his back, he's really good with the triangle chokes. He's good with the guillotine, with the rear naked chokes. He's good on the ground. Like I said, going back to the first 2 minutes is scary, but people fade Cowboy. Oh, he's going to get knocked out. He's going to lose. He's too slow of a starter. But who has he lost to in the past 2 or 3 years other than the lightweight champion of the world, Rafael dos Anjos? Nobody. He's not going to lose to Patrick Cote despite the size advantage for Cote, the size difference in favor of Cote. That is also one other thing that is worrying to me. Cote has the power, he has the size. He's a former middleweight title challenger, even fought at 205 a couple times. Cerrone, almost all of his career, except for his last fight, has been at lightweight. So there will be, and in the cage as well on Fight Night, Cote will be a lot heavier than Cowboy Cerrone. But there isn't going to be enough of a difference that it'll overpower their skill sets, their respective skill sets. Cowboy Cerrone's skill set is deeper. He has more tools to win. And unless Cote gets him in the clinch and he does what he did against Alvarez and lets Cote uppercut him 10 times in a row without doing anything, he's not going to lose this fight. That was a scary moment. Going back to that, I remember watching that screaming, what the heck is Cowboy doing? He, of course, didn't get knocked out. But Cote could knock him out if he makes a mistake like that. He's not going to. He will win this fight by decision, and it's going to be a very, very fun fight. It's going to be back and forth, but ultimately, Cowboy Cerrone will get the win. All right, main event of the evening. This is one I've been looking forward to for a very long time. I wanted Stephen Wonderboy Thompson to get the next title shot. Unfortunately, they gave it to Tyron Woodley. Still mind-boggling to me, but we have a fantastic matchup. Thanks to Tyron Woodley, Roy MacDonald, and thanks to Matchmakers, of course. Roy MacDonald and Stephen Wonderboy Thompson to determine the #1 contender at welterweight. Roy MacDonald, #1, just below Lawler, and Wonderboy, #2, just below Lawler and Rory. Daniel, who wins this fight?
It's a great fight, man. I think if both of them show up to the best of their abilities, Wonderboy's going to knock him out. But he's been saying some things that I don't like. You know, he's been talking all this shit about how, oh, I don't like fighting my friends and this. I'm like, dude, come on. Like, change your bum life. You know what I'm saying? Like, do you want this title shot or not? Like, don't be playing friends and shit like that. And, you know, in his fight with Cote, which, you know, they are friends, he drops him and then he helps him back up and he high-fives and hugs him and this and that. You don't want to do that against Rory. Rory is coming to kill you. He doesn't care about friends. And, man, you know, a lot of people like to talk about the damage Rory took in his last fight. You know, I think he's the kind of guy that he's mentally strong enough to come back and show up. But physically, I don't know if he's going to be the same. But he did something really smart. He brought in the only guy to beat Wonderboy in a kickboxing competition, Raymond Daniels, to come train with him. And, you know, if you look at Wonderboy's kickboxing record, it is 57-0. But if you watch that fight with Raymond Daniels beat him and made him look like total shit. It was just called a no contest due to a knee injury. So, he's not undefeated in his kickboxing career. Rory brought the only guy to beat him. But my money's on the Wonder Boy here. I think he's, the next UFC champion at welterweight. And, Nick, you brought up the Tyron Woodley fight. Even though I agree that he doesn't deserve a title shot, who cares, man? It's in my hometown. I get to watch Robbie Lawler knock this dude out that hasn't fought since 2015, that's been talking all this shit about how he deserves a title shot. Oh, you deserve the title shot? Well, here it is, my man. Let's see what you got. And Robbie Lawler's about to knock out T. Wood, and then he's going to fight Wonder Boy after he knocks out Rory on Saturday night.
All right, Paolo. Who wins this fight, Rory? I change my nickname every year, MacDonald, or the Wonder Man?
The Wonder Man, yeah. Yes, you see, one bad thing about this fight is that one of them has to lose, man, and one of them might have to lose in a destructive fashion, because I think that's the only way the other guy's going to lose, man. Or we could have a boring fight where they're just sort of staring at each other, respecting each other too much, overthinking, which I hope doesn't happen, but, just throwing out there, that could happen. But, I mean, one thing that I don't see a lot of people bring up is it's going to be a small cage in there, and right? I mean, can we confirm that it's going to be a small cage up there?
Really?
It's a small...
Probably.
It's a small venue, and has Stephen Thompson fought in a small cage in the past? Because
I don't know. That's something I haven't thought about. That's something I never. Daniel?
I got a question. Has Rory MacDonald ever fought in a small cage?
Another good question.
But you would say that in this situation that
Thompson needs a space. Thompson needs a space.
Yeah, karate fighters like him. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I'm just saying that conceivably Wonder Boy is going to want to get this to the ground. That is for sure a possible path of victory for him. And so obviously it's going to help in a small cage.
Wait, Wonder Boy wants to get Rory to the ground?
Oh, I'm sorry, Rory. I'm sorry. Rory wants to get Wonder Boy to the ground.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say it's going to be interesting because these karate-type fighters, as you can see, they need that space, man. They need the distance control where they can measure the guy up, utilize all their kicks, all their deadly kicks that can come from any angle. And, I mean, if Thompson's able to do that, yeah, for sure, I think he's going to tool Rory in there because Rory does get hit, as he's shown in his last fight. He does take damage. I mean, he was beating up, Lawler, but he took so much damage that when Lawler landed that one good shot to his nose, his body shut down on him. And, I mean, he took a good beating against.
It wasn't one good shot. It was an accumulation of over 200 shots.
Yeah. But the point was his body was so broken down that when Lawler landed that good shot, it shut down because he's accumulated so much damage. So who knows? Maybe Thompson's gonna do the same. But I gotta give it to Rory, man. I think he's gonna be able to shrink that cage and do whatever to Thompson. But I think it's gonna be competitive and. Yeah, man, I'm just lost, man. I don't know how this fight's going to turn out, but I'm going to give it to Rory here, man. Give it to him by decision.
All right, Smoke Jones, your nickname is Six Figs for a reason. Who are you betting, if anyone, on this fight?
So, I'm going to say a bunch of fucking cop-outs right now, first of all, okay? I have to look into if the cage is smaller because that is huge. That's a really good point. You honestly knocked me on my ass with that, Paolo. That's pretty fucking, yeah. So that is the first thing. The second thing is it's such a close fight that I kind of want to watch where the actual line ends up Saturday morning. And then I'll bet. But if I'm in my heart, I've got to say Wonder Boy. But Rory MacDonald has been training with what's his name? He's been training with fucking Raymond Daniels, who is an excellent fucking kickboxer. He does basically the same exact style as actually Wonder Boy does, and I guess that he's been sparring with him, he's been training with him extensively for actually the whole training camp. So I think that over the course of 5 rounds, Rory has a lot of ways to win. I think that he could even finish him striking if he has the right actual game plan. I mean, if he was to mix in his takedowns, wear him down, I think in the 4th or 5th round he could even finish him. It's similar to almost the actual fight against Safadine. But with that being said, I got to go Wonder Boy though. Wonderboy right now looks like he is basically on another level. The way that he literally made a actual former champion look like a fucking rookie, you know, that was really, really impressive. So I do have to go Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, but I'm not sure. I want to see where the line goes, and I want to find out about the cage too.
Yeah, the fact that one of these guys is going to lose is very mind-boggling because I know Robbie Lawler is the champion, but I actually believe, and I know MacDonald has lost to Lawler twice, but I actually believe MacDonald and Wonderboy are the two best welterweights on planet Earth right now. I do believe they are both better than Lawler, and rankings-wise, it doesn't make sense because Lawler's beat him twice. But I will say that's besides the point. Who is going to win this fight? That's a tough question to answer. MacDonald, training under TriStar, his jab is so good. His overall striking skill set is so good. And he's a very well-rounded fighter, just like every TriStar fighter is. He's good on the ground. And that's his best chance because Wonderboy will be more active on the feet. He'll land more kicks. He'll land more strikes. His output will be higher than Rory's. He'll be a bit more wild. Without being a scrappy fighter, he'll be more wild in the sense that he'll take a bit more risk. He'll throw more diverse strikes. Rory is more of a basic jab, overhand. But he's still a very good fighter, of course. With his... I shouldn't call Rory MacDonald's skill set basic because he is, like I said, one of the best welterweights on this planet. This fight is going to be fireworks. Small cage especially. One guy is going to sleep if this is in the small cage. Now, I shouldn't have said that because I actually think this goes the distance and it's probably in the small cage. But there's a better chance it ends inside the distance if it is in fact a small cage. And I do believe it is because the TV place is in fact a small arena. It's like a 12,000 person arena, 10,000 right around there. I'm going to wonder what Thompson in this fight. He's going to land, like I said, more strikes. Rory MacDonald can get hit, but I'm not sure that is huge when Paolo mentioned the Lawler fight because both guys just put on a war. They threw down. You're going to get hit in a war no matter how good you are. Even John Jones, when he fought Gustafsson, he is the greatest right now. One of the greatest, if pound for pound best or pound for pound two, and he still got hit. So if you're in a war, you're going to get hit no matter who you are. You can be the best, and you're going to get hit. Wonderboy, I think I'm at a loss for words because this is. I'm not picking Rory. One Canadian. I'm a trader. All of that.
We're gonna be on Lonely Island again, eh?
Yes, you are. Wonderboy will win this fight. Keep this from dragging on. I know it's dragging already. Wonderboy wins this fight. He wins by decision. He doesn't knock out Rory. Rory will be too tough. Chin-wise, will take damage, but he won't get finished. Wonderboy will beat Rory MacDonald and earn that title shot against Lawler when he defeats Wilby, whether that's by knockout. Most likely will be, and sets up what could be just one of the best fights ever. I really think Lawler Wonderboy could be one of the best ever. That will just be fantastic. So UFC Ottawa, we are finished with UFC Ottawa. Yes.
Are you sure you got Wonderboy?
I am positive.
Just kidding.
Because you want me to pick MacDonald's here because Paolo's.
You pick more non-Canadians than Canadians, dude. I think.
I know. The Bloody Elbow Slap predictions aren't out yet. They'll be out on Friday. But in the first three things, I was like, my breakdown of Wonderboy Rory was sorry Canada ... Wonderboy by decision. Second one was for Cote Cowboy, sorry Canada again ... Cowboy by decision. Third one.
Nick, I gotta know.
Why do I keep doing?
Why? Listen, whenever I pick Americans, I never talk about how I pick Americans. You know. But dude, one thing we haven't talked about.
Canada is special. Canada is special. Okay.
So one thing we haven't talked about is the improvement in Wonderboy's wrestling, and it's always
yes.
always been a question of can he stuff the takedown? Well, he did what a champion does. He brought in Chris Weidman to work on his takedown defense, and in that fight with Jake, a lot of people were like, well, if Jake's going to win the fight, he's going to win via taking him down, right? And who got the takedown there? Wonderboy got the suplex in that fight, and he also reversed the takedown, and then he stuffed Johnny Hendricks' takedown.
Yeah, Johnny Hendricks.
I know Rory brings a different skill set to the table. He's got that TriStar style. They're more of a MMA base than a wrestling base, which is different. You transition your strikes to your takedowns. I get it. However, I believe Wonderboy will keep this fight standing. Is going to knock him out. So that's why I put some money on him. And it opens.
Yes, I agree.
So, you got to take that shot sometimes.
I agree because Hendricks couldn't get him down. And I know there are different skill sets on the ground. Or like you mentioned, more MMA based, training on the TriStar. Hendricks more the wrestling base on when it comes to the wrestling. But at the end of the day, Hendricks is the better wrestler all around than Rory MacDonald. I would say by quite a bit. And Hendricks could not get Wonderboy down, so you can't really make me believe Rory will. I think Wonderboy keeps it standing. I agree with what you said, Daniel. Now, anything else you guys want to add when it comes to UFC Ottawa? I do actually want to quickly touch on the other MMA going on because there's actually a ton of other cards. We're not going to break much down really, but just Daniel, I'll start with you. We have the Fedor card, Fedor versus Maldonado tomorrow morning. We got Bellator, Dantes versus Galvão 2, and we have WSOF. That is Ivanov, the heavyweight champion, and Cuddly Bear, UFC veteran. I feel like I think that's it actually. But yeah, we have a ton of MMA going down, lots of UFC veterans on the card. Vitaly Minakov, former Bellator champion, on the Russian card tomorrow morning on Fight Pass. Who else? We have John Howard, Luis Palomino, Mike Ricci, Jason Hyde. There's a lot of MMA going down tomorrow night on Friday. What stands out to you, Daniel?
This kid, Shimon Moraes, he's fighting in the World Series of Fighting. He's fighting against Luis Baboon Palomino, who has lost 3 of his last 4 fights via knockout, might I add. And he's fighting Shimon Moraes, who's a very good striker, went the distance with Marlon Moraes, knocked Robbie Peralta out in brutal fashion. You got to watch out for this kid, Shimon Moraes, and obviously it's going to be cool to watch, Fedor take care of business tomorrow morning. I feel bad for Fabio. I hope he's getting paid well. He's being brought in to lose, obviously. It's in Russia, but it's always fun to watch, the Last Emperor fight. But shame on Moraes. Look out for this kid.
I'm calling a baboon knockout there. Paolo, anything else you want to add on to the MMA going down tomorrow?
Nah, I'm just happy to see Fedor finally in the UFC. I mean, yeah, technically he's not in the UFC, but it's just weird seeing him broadcast by the UFC, you know what I mean? So maybe this is a step closer. There are internet rumblings that if Fedor crushes Maldonado and Brock Lesnar submits or beats up Mark Hunt, that there's going to be, Lesnar versus Emelianenko or something like that. So, I mean, who knows what's going to happen? I mean, as a fan, I'd obviously like to see that, but...
If it's not Lesnar, CM Punk is the second option in an open weight fight.
CM Punk versus Fedor, let's do it, man.
And then Mickey Gall, it sucks for him. It does. Trevor, anything else you want to add? WSOF, Bellator. That Bellator card is looking good. I forget who's in the I forget who's in the co-main. Brandon Halsey is on the card as well. As I mentioned, Marcos Galvão, bantamweight champion, versus Eduardo Dantes. Anything else you want to quickly add on?
Eduardo Dantes, I'm a huge fan of. I'm super high on him. I'm excited to see him get his belt back Friday night. That should be a good fight. Fedor, I just want to see him lose so that he can be humbled and shut up and tuck his tail. So, and I'm a huge fan of Fabio Maldonado. So obviously, Fabio Maldonado is going to get finished quick, but I will be praying to all the MMA gods that Fabio Maldonado crushes Fedor with some sick boxing combinations. And there is M1 Global on, I think, also actually tonight. And I'm actually drawing a blank. But
no, that was on this morning, or this afternoon. Shilmenko in the main event and Volkov in the co-main.
Okay, never mind. I got to Google those results. Anyway, so yeah, those will be good. Shaman against fucking Palomino is arguably sleeper fight of the weekend. Shaman is now up in weight, and then you look at a fucking Luis Palomino, he's actually cutting weight. One thing I think, though, is it's kind of dangerous for him because he's so old and now he's cutting weight. You're going to think, is he kind of maybe looking to get actually knocked out, I mean, he's old and now he's at 45. How is his chin going to hold up? I think it should be a very exciting firefight if his chin holds up.
Yeah, that you guys basically said what I wanted to say. Fedor Maldonado going down tomorrow morning on Fight Pass. I'll watch Fedor win in a few minutes. It's cool to see Fedor on Fight Pass, like Paul mentioned. And I've been calling Fabio Maldonado the GOAT for a little bit. No one can criticize me if he does beat Fedor. If he beats Fedor, Fabio Maldonado, I will refer to as the greatest of all time, the greatest Iron Hillbilly of all time afterwards. But it's not going to happen, but also continue anyways. WSOF, Palomino, that is going to be a fun fight with Moraes. And then Ricci versus Hyde to determine who fights Gaethje next. And then the main event, you can't complain, Blago Ivanov, the heavyweight champion, taking on Josh Copeland, the Cuddly Bear. John Howard also on the card. I believe, Daniel, you just did an interview with Howard, so I'm actually really excited to see Howard's debut in WSOF. Bellator, I feel like I'm missing something on that card. I know Halsey on the card in the main event. Isn't Sokaji in the co-main or something?
No, I think you hit it all, bro. I think we touched on every fight, man.
Yeah, you just want to go. DraftKings, quickly though. I can't let you go yet. DraftKings time. Paolo, you are the DK master. Who are your 5 fighters on your DraftKings team?
Yeah, last week actually ended like a losing slump, and I won pretty big because I had Michael fucking Bisping on my team. I'm really happy about that. I didn't think he'd knock him out in one round, but he did knock him out in one round. So that was a lot of points, and at the cheapest price on the card too. So anyway, hoping this is gonna be like this. But I got Rory MacDonald, I got Jocelyn Jones, Lieberger, Steve Bossy, I got Chris Beal, and I got Barncat. Barncat I might change because I don't think he's gonna finish Yatko, but that's pretty much my team right there.
I love the dog barking in my neighbor's backyard. That's awesome while I'm doing podcasts. Daniel, I know you're still hooking up that partnership with DraftKings coming in 2019. I don't say that to offend you. I actually hope you get that deal. That would be pretty awesome, of course. Bets-wise, though, who are you siding with this weekend?
Well, if you want to find all my plays, you can go to bestfightpicks.com and check it out there. But, I mean, bet on the Wonder Boy, bet on Jocko, and bet on Leandro Silva. Going to cash some dogs there. And, yeah, am I allowed to plug my shit yet, or have we not got to that part?
We'll do that in a second.
Yeah,
hey, Trevor, do you do DraftKings? Trevor, do you do DraftKings?
I do not do DraftKings, but I do have some crypto promo.
Let us know your bets and whatnot.
So off the top of my head, I mean, I'm gonna post them all on my Twitter, which I guess is kind of promo right there. Follow me. I will say off the top of my head, Silva's a good bet. I think also Valerie Letourneau is a really good bet. Yeah, I have a couple other bets. I'm trying to draw a blank right now. I'm gonna do
La Pulga
parlay. I want to go with La Pulga. I'm just hesitant because I don't think what's his name looked all that bad against Benavidez. I don't think that there was a severe drop off. I think he was a little bit kind of tentative, but I don't think that he looked severely worse. So I think it's still going to be a pretty close fight.
All right, now my DraftKings team, I have Wonderboy to decision Roy, but that'll be a fun fight, competitive, where Wonderboy lands a lot of strikes. Serkinov to knockout, what's his name? What were we calling him, a jobber, or was that OAM's opponent? That was OAM's opponent. Ion Kudalaba. Who else do I have? We have Sago to submit Silva, O'Connell to knock out the boss, and McCrory to end the split decision streak of Christoph Jocko. That's my DraftKings team. All right. Thank you, as always, to both you and Paolo, and to you, Trevor, for joining us for the first time. Daniel, let us know where we can find you on social media. Let us know where we can find your bets on your website and whatnot, your podcast, everything else you got going on in the mixed martial arts world. Next time.
Yeah, man. Follow me on Twitter at Best Fight Picks. Subscribe to my podcast, Half the Battle, on iTunes, SoundCloud, and YouTube. Go to bestfightpicks.com for the plays. And nice to meet you, Trevor. I'm checking out, y'all. It's been real. Half the Battle on iTunes, SoundCloud, and YouTube.
All right, now, Paolo, where can we find you on social media? Where can we find you? On social media, where can you find your everything else you got going on, your writing, everything else you got going on in the world of MMA? Go ahead.
Yeah. Check us out at Sportsnet. I write at Rogers Sportsnet, one of Canada's biggest sports providers. I'm back with Vendetta Fighter. That's at Vendetta Fighter. So that's where I actually started out writing for MMA. So it's good to be back with my roots. I got more creative control, can post whatever I want, pick which news I want to go up and stuff. So it's always good. And it's always good helping, a fellow friend build his site up. At least I know who my efforts are going towards, as opposed to a faceless figure up in the higher ups and stuff. But yeah, and my personal account at GoPaoloMMA, like it says down there. Come tweet me up, talk smack or whatever. But yeah, you will be blocked if you talk smack. No, I'm just joking. Whatever.
All right, now Six Figs, where can we find you on social media? Where can we find your podcast? Anything else you got going on in MMA or hip hop or anything else in the life of Smokey Jones? Go ahead.
First of all, thanks for having me. It was awesome. I'd be happy to do it again in the future. Let me know. Second of all, at Smokey Six Figs, which is actually on Twitter, Instagram. Yeah, Smokey Six Figs. You can find basically all my picks on my Twitter. I have a new CD coming out and stuff. You can find all the information there. Smoke and Jay's Hip Hop Podcast, which is roughly about hip hop, but we go into sports, we go into pop culture, etc. We do that weekly. We are out of a new actual fancy actual office building studio thing now, and you can find us on Stitcher. You can find us on iTunes. Yeah. Thanks for having me. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. It was great to chat with you again. I know I had you on my podcast, my other show, over a year ago when Faber fought Edgar. So it's been a while.
And one more thing, I'll be back next Wednesday on actually fucking Stud Show Radio, Team Alpha Males podcast. I haven't been on for like 5 or 6 months or something. So yeah, I'll be on there. Yeah, check that out. Feely and I'll be on there. Andre Feely and myself. So yeah.
Awesome. Now, as for me, you can find me on Twitter as always at NickUFC. Always down to chat about MMA. This week on the MMA Circus, my other podcast I hosted each and every week with Andrew Lawrence. This week we have Elias Theodoro, who of course fights this weekend at UFC Ottawa. We have Luis Baboon Palomino, who fights Shimon Reyes this weekend. Tomorrow actually at WSL 31. And rounding into the show, we have Patricky Pitbull Frere, who fights for the vacant Bellator Lightweight Championship against Michael Chandler next week at Bellator Dynamite 2. Yesterday, I interviewed Joe Schilling, who headlines Bellator Kickboxing 2 next weekend. Today, I interviewed new UFC welterweight fighter Bilal Muhammad and Carrie Melendez, the wife of Gilbert Melendez, who also fights at Bellator Kickboxing next week. So those 3 interviews that I did over the past couple of days will be on the show next week. My writing at bloodyelbow.com. That is where you can find my writing when it comes to interview pieces or news or anything else I got going on. Writing-wise, that is where you can find it. My podcast on iTunes and Stitcher, everything like that. I think that's about it. So like my show and stuff on Twitter and on Facebook and wherever else you can find you. Subscribe, rate us. Thank you again, Trevor and Paolo and Daniel, who's gone, for coming on the show as always. And with that, enjoy the fights.